Jeff here with the Church Digital, live streaming from my car. I actually had a meeting with a church that went really well here in Miami. One of our partner churches with the Church Digital Christ Journey. I can I can go ahead and say this. I'm excited to say this. I will be joining staff with Christ Journey later this year. It's part I wanted to talk about today, but also wanted to get into some other things just going on with life, the struggles and the opportunities of bivocational ministry and everything that's involved. I am not driving because you can see I'm not touching the steering wheel. AI is driving for me in my nice Tesla. Thank you, Tesla, for driving. It was funny. Tesla actually drove me here today. I almost got in a car wreck. Literally honked the horn. Tesla, when it's got cameras everywhere, and so when you honk the horn, it records video, and so I have to go back and see how close it was. But somebody came out, Sly, right off the bat, dude. I screwed up, bro. That's on me. I am so sorry. I had this meeting booked. It wasn't on my calendar, and I was physically on site with this Church Christ Journey, and I picked up my phone to see what time it was, and I immediately saw your text message, and I was like, "Oh crap! Did I never cancel with Sly?" And so, Sly, sir, that is 100% on me. Thank you for your grace that you're showing via chat. I'll make it up to you. I don't know how. We'll figure it out, but man, that's a lot of traffic that way. Welcome to Miami. Traffic all over the place. I'm gonna have to go a different route. Anyway, yeah, it's been a hectic. It's been a fun couple days. I'm actually coming back from vacation. That car's doing that, so I have to do this. Life is interesting. I don't want to die. Yeah, that guy was probably upset with me. Um, I was on vacation last week and it was fun. It was relaxing. I spent some time with the family, which was great. They're all at school. They're off from school. My kids are in high school. My wife's a high school teacher. And so when everybody's at the house, man, I kind of like it's hard to stay motivated. I like sleeping in. Last night we went and got ice cream after dinner and just like I like being around my family. We did a college. I'll tell you about some of this in a little bit. Hey, before I get things, just as a heads up. One, we haven't talked about this, but equipping digital missionaries. We have a new series of equipping digital missionaries cohorts coming out this August. This later in towards the end of August. Equipping digital missionaries is a 10 week. A 5 week, where we've shortened it, a 5 week cohort where we walk people like you through what it means to be a digital missionary and start to give you some trainings to wrap your brain around how to be more effective in your digital mission calling. And so it's a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, this is the round where we are betaing our new LMS, our new learning management system called Nobi. And so Nobi's a partner organization. We're excited to have them on board, and check out thechurch.digital/EDM. If you are interested in what a digital missionary is, if you're new to the Church Digital and trying to wrap your brain around how to get connected or what it looks like to be part of the network of digital missionaries that we have here at the Church Digital, your first step is the church.digital/EDM. Hey, Troy. Troy, I haven't seen you in a while yet either. We gotta catch up, my friend, and talk. Would love that. So the church.digital/EDM. Oh, and by the way, the other thing is we have a small digital missionary conference. Excuse me, 4 digital missionary conferences coming up in September and October. We've got the information on the website, which is constantly growing and expanding. The church.digital, missionary.digital, www.missionary.digital. You can get more information on the four summits there. We've got a digital neighborhood, September 17th, talking about the culture that exists in platforms and recognizing that culture and sharing Jesus inside that culture, even planting churches in that culture. We've got, in addition to that, we've got Christ centered. We've got the Control Alt Recover, Christ centered recovery happening September 24th. October 1st is the European Digital Missionary Conference, and October 8th is the Gaming Digital Missionary Summit. So we've got four major events coming up in September, October, and you all want to get plugged in to that. All the conferences are free, and you just need to register. Swing over to the website missionary.digital, www.missionary.digital. Okay, hey, um, I don't know if you can see this. This is what it's like living in Miami. You see that? You see that Lamborghini right there? It's sorry, I changed the camera sideways. You see that Lamborghini? Yeah, that's what it's like living in Miami. You get people with really nice cars. Like I have a nice car. I'm a Tesla's driving me. I said that earlier. But yeah, Lamborghinis, all or Porsches, all over the place. My son is he drools over this stuff. Like he sees these fancy cars and I'm like, dude, CJ, yeah, that's a whole other league of money, bro. You know, marry well or get a good job. And so we'll see. I was offensive when I said the marry well thing. I didn't mean that. That was an inopportune joke. I apologize. I just lost two followers by saying well. Hey, Melanie's saying San Diego can be like that too. Lots of crazy cars. In the some of these states. It's a lot of fun. So Tesla is driving me home. Um, and I with my health, with my legs, I don't drive well. Like I can't feel my feet. I've talked about that before. And so honestly, my feet getting the gas and the brake pedal confused happens more than it should. And so in this situation, having AI drive me home actually pays off pretty well. I have to keep my eyes on the road or the car yells at me. And yeah, it's good stuff. So if you're like, how's he doing this without even like touching the wheel? It's because what's Tesla call their AI? Gronk. Gonk. Gronk is doing an excellent job of taking me home. Hey, so here's the deal. Let me just share a little bit of what's going on in my life. So I have taken a position, a role with one of our partner churches in town, Christ Journey. Christ Journey. Actually, I was working with that church pre-COVID. When COVID hit, I was actually on leadership with Christ Journey and helped them early navigate some of the tensions early on. I would also like, and it's just been a church that's very close to my heart. It's not the church that I currently attend. I attend another church called Reality Church. That's a church plant that my a good friend of mine, Carlos Lolette, is planter and pastor of, and love Carlos, love the church that's there. But an opportunity came up to get back to some of my technical roots and start to re-engage in live production and help church kind of launch out a new campus and a new um, outpost for ministry. And so I'm getting back into the physical multi-site mega church type of a model. And you've heard me say many times, yeah, the mega site, the multi-site church model, it's not perfect. No model is perfect. It's got its flaws, it's got its strengths, but the mega site, the mega church, the multi-site church, it's going to reach the people it's going to reach. Actually, I'm going into a brand new campus. Literally, the building is not even done being constructed. It's supposed to launch in October, November. And so I'm going into a brand new building, a brand new facility in a very densely populated area of Miami. to go set up an outpost for ministry to be the light of Christ in that area. And I am so excited. I am so excited to do ministry in this space. Now, this is not it's not digital ministry; it's physical. And I am happy to say I am excited to still be doing the church digital as well. Christ Journey, you go to christjourney.org, you can see more information about the church. They are, like I said, they've been supporters of the church digital for years. Even pre-COVID, they had visions and were supportive of what we were doing, and were financial supporters of us, the church digital, as well as the Digital Missionary Conference. Like they buy in. Actually, I was sitting down with the executive day, Ryan, who Ryan, no relation, who is just so. Um, Praising of the work that's been done and is so open and receptive to what empowering individuals to share the gospel in today's culture can be. I mean, really awe-inspiring stuff. Like some of the conversations we've had is, how do we take this equipping and mobilizing mindset into physical churches? What does and this is literally the conversation that we had? What does accountability look like in the church environment? And this is, I actually on one of these streams, maybe a couple hundred episodes ago, I had a physical, no, I had a micro church network leader tell me, "Hey Jeff, you really can't. The church cannot say the word accountability because people don't like accountability. Like, we all say we're going to go be the light in the darkness. We all say that we are going to enter, when we leave the church building, we're going to enter the mission field. We all say that. But when push comes to shove, do the people in the pews actually do anything? Where is it lost? Do they not? Are we not communicating it properly? Do they need a framework or a system? Do they need accountability? What does accountability look like for an unpaid volunteer who you're asking to catch vision to do something in a spiritual level? Like, there's some complexity that's involved in this conversation, right? And I'll never forget this. Thanks, Judy. Judy or Judy, Steele. Thank you. It just popped up real quick on my screen, and for the life of me, I can't remember which your first name is. I'm sorry. But I do appreciate that. The uh, the challenge that Ryan said, he's like, it's not accountability, and I was like, oh crap, that's good. Like it's not accountability where we're going to like put our thumb on you when you don't do it, but it's the integrity of, hey, what is God calling you to do, and do you actually have the integrity to follow through? I was sitting back, and I was like, Ryan, that's beautiful. It's not accountability with the thumb, it's integrity, where you're inviting them to keep the promise they have, not with the church, but with God. Hey, video might be a little sketchy. I'm driving a car on a cell phone, and I hope 5G. So it is what it is. Hopefully it works. Um, so it was just a beautiful conversation. I am looking forward to getting back into the physical church space. It's interesting. This is praising of digital. I love the fact that I have digital relationships globally. I had a meeting this morning with Barbara and her team. Barbara is in Barcelona. Ingrid is in um, Portugal. And so working with people, yesterday I had a face-to-face meeting with Cindy from Hong Kong, WhatsApping people from different continents. Like it's fascinating. I was talking yesterday with Adrian from Oceania, from Australia. Uh, like it's so much fun to have all these relationships and see all this grow. My daughter says to me the other day, she says, "Daddy, do you even have friends in Miami anymore?" And that was like the, huh, okay. So I'm well connected globally. I'm developing relationships digitally globally. But I think part of me is pivoting too much globally, and I want to revert back and be a little more in some of the physical space as well. Now, some of that is my calling towards being digital minister, and that's I'm very happy that God's given me this opportunity. Part of that has actually been my health. Many of you know, and I said it earlier, like I've diabetic neuropathy. I still can't feel my legs. I've got arthritis in my knees. I've got shin splints. I've got I mean, I can just rattle off. If anything that can go wrong beneath my knees, except for gangrene, where I have to cut it off, that is going on right now. And so it's a little bit of me of okay, I'm gonna have to like step out of my comfort zone because right now it's easy for me to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, take a shower, walk into my guest bedroom where my office is set up in a 5 by 5 square area. I literally have a coffee machine sitting on my desk, and I could be drinking a cup of coffee by 8:30 in a meeting. Like that's just easy. That's convenient. And by the way, that is so effective. I'm not ripping that model because the church digital has been highly successful with that model, and Lord willing, will continue to be that. I'm not leaving the church digital. But there's this interesting dynamic where outside of my family, I don't know that I've got a lot of friends locally. Actually, it was funny. I was texting Garrett Silgi. I run an AVL company with Garrett. Garrett honestly does all the work, and I cash checks. Thank you, Garrett, if you're watching this. I appreciate that. But I don't see Garrett but once a year in physical space, unless we're on a job. And so I was actually texting him yesterday about I went to a Coldplay concert over Saturday night. He went to the same concert Sunday night. But it was like, dude, are we actually going to be able to sit in a coffee house together and have a physical conversation that's not via like FaceTime, WhatsApp, texting, or Zoom? Because it's that's when physical relationships go digital and not physical, only digital and no physical. I'm thinking, hey, there's something missing. It was interesting. I was watching even a TV show. I forget what TV show it was last night. Um, I was watching something with my wife, and there was a line in the TV show where a woman said, "Well, of course I don't have any friends. I'm a 43-year-old mother, single mother. I'm a 43-year-old woman, a single mother woman, something like that." And I kind of laughed. And I looked at my wife, and I was like, "My wife's not 43. She's a little older. I'm not going to call her out." But I was like, "Is that true? Do like 43-year-old women have trouble?" And my wife's like, "Oh my gosh, of course, yes." And I realized, I mean, she's got close friends, but we've moved this life away from physicality. What does it look like for a digital missionary to be engaging in ministry digitally, to be operating in digital space, to be building relationships in digital community, represent the culture of the digital community while still being grounded in a healthy physical environment? I would love a conversation around that. The I don't know the answer. Like I walk that tension. Listen, we're incredibly successfully digitally. I love it. I if there's part of me, I definitely love the idea of um doing online remote ministry, remote work, remote leadership teams being as global oriented as we are. I'm going to be honest. We're doing a board of director meeting, and the majority of the board of directors live here in Miami. It would be very easy to jump on a Zoom call. A couple of the one, I think one person at this point lives outside of Miami. We're flying them in. Fly to Miami. We put you up in a hotel for a couple days, and let's actually, instead of doing it on Zoom, let's meet together in physical space. Why? Because there's value in meeting together physically. There are ways to be more effective in meetings and conversations physically than digitally. That's not knocking digitally. To get into a deep um, planning, a deep meeting conversation, deep strategy, you can build trust much quicker. You can deepen trust much deeper physically, I think, than digitally. It takes a little bit longer digitally, although it's easier because of constant communications. We can get into the weeds on that if you want. But the fact is that I'm walking this tension of what is the relationship between physicality and digital, and how can we be digital ministries but still being healthy physical. I was listening to a podcast a while back. Oh my gosh, this is funny. I'll parallel it with something else. If you've ever watched Die Hard, I love Die Hard, the best Christmas movie ever. You can at me on that. But the opening scene, Bruce Willis is on this airplane, and this has nothing to do with the entire movie, except this is why Bruce Willis eventually takes off his shoes at the Nakatomi Plaza, I think it is. But the guy sitting next to Bruce Willis is talking about, hey, to get over the jet lag, when where you're going, take off your shoes, curl your toes in the carpet. It's like this in the movie. It's like this physical trigger that gets people to work through the jet lag. And it's funny that Bruce Willis actually does that in the movie. He says, "Oh my gosh, it works!" And then his shoes are off when the terrorists come in, and then Bruce Willis is running around barefoot for the rest of the movie, blood everywhere. You can watch it. There's there's an interesting. I heard a parallel. I heard a podcast from John Pyle a while back. Who he had on. It was a great guy talking about and it was about this the some of the tension between physicality and digital. Great podcast. We'll have to find it in the show notes. But John, the guest said, sometimes you got to get the grass between your toes. And if I'm honest in my own life, whether it's work, whether it's ministry, whether it's my own physicality limitations that have existed, whether it's my just lack of a desire to do it in physical, I just yeah, my or the fact that it's 120% humidity outside, the idea of getting the grass between my toes has not been a strong point for me. And so I got to do it. I got to get the grass between my toes. I got to get out of the house. I got to let AI do some driving for me. And so I'm taking this role, the Christ journey. I'm excited about doing ministry in physical space. I'm excited about where the church is going. They're coming up on their 100th year anniversary, and there's a lot of energy in a 100-year-old legacy mega multi-site church in Miami, launching this new campus, launching some other new initiatives. Um, a strong pastor, biblically grounded. It's a desire to empower individuals with the gospel. Like it's a really fascinating opportunity. When I look at the church digital, I so in many ways, the church digital it's a fractional we talk about. It's a fractional part-time job. It's a volunteer organization. I'll say something publicly. This is the first time I've said this. We'll share this stat in other places. The church digital ended its first year of nonprofit status. 2024 July 1, 2025 June 30th. We're July to June fiscal year. And so this is actually our first year of being a nonprofit organization. Before, the church digital has been around a long time. Before, honestly, we were a for-profit organization run off my, you know, bank account. But we moved this past year to being nonprofit. And organizationally, we've operated on 75,000 US dollars. 2024, 2025, that 12-month period, we had $75,000 come in. And organizationally, we spent $76,000. First off, that is incredible. I am so thankful. I am so grateful for the $75,000 that's come in organizationally. That's Giving Tuesday. That's the first conference sponsors. That's individual donors. That's sponsoring churches. That's sponsoring organizations, missions organizations. Um, like that is an incredible amount of money to go from 0 to 75,000 is a testimony to the fact that I was able to stay on budget and take it and spend 76,000 of the 75,000 is incredible as well. Just because I love spending other people's money. Sorry, Christ Journey. That being said, I cannot believe like this is the thing that I want to like step back and I want to document. I cannot believe the amount of ministry impact we have had at a global level with spending $75,000, $76,000. Like seven was it 6 times 12 is 72,000. So just rough math in my head, $6,400 a month. Like that's not even a full-time salary. Like that I could not live on that in Miami. Miami's just so expensive. But this fractional leader, this volunteer team, these people that we're developing and empowering and casting vision towards, it's been a life affirming thing to see people catch the vision of digital missionaries, to understand the vision of the church digital, and to propagate this out in big ways globally. And I'm so thankful for that. Um, I was at a crossroads. Jeff, do I make the $72,000, $76,000, 75 that comes in? Does that go into my bank account? And like, how do we pay for tech stack? How do we pay for other leadership? No, everybody's volunteer. Or do I say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make very little, just like everybody else. Everybody else is making very little. And the tech stack is growing and increasing in cost. Marketing is growing and increasing in cost as we're accelerating, growing this thing out. And I went to ladder model, which is why I'm getting the job. My journey, because yes, I'm very excited about physical ministry. Yes, I'm very excited about digital ministry, and I have a unique skill set in place where I get to do both, um, and hopefully make a little money along the way to pay the bills. When I look around the mid digital ministry spaces right now, to be honest, I can only pick out a handful of missionaries, a handful of church planters that are paid 100% by an organization. Like there's very few that are on a quote unquote salary per se. And that number honestly feels like it's diminishing more and more as more and more organizations are leaning towards a bivocational or a fundraising model in digital missionary space. I mean, even like we do a lot with Crew, and Crew is a immense supporter. I'm so thankful of Crew. Crew is actually the one of the major sponsors right now of the Digital Missionary Conference coming up here in September and October. But even Crew, uh, they invite their staff to fundraise, to generate their own salaries that are coming in to fundraise for the budgets of what's happening. And so the old model of hey, we're going to do ministry and we're expecting the ministry to pay for our salary. I mean, to be honest, I'm taking one of those jobs in physical church space, and I'm grateful for that. But to be honest, I've also got a couple other revenue streams in place between the AVL company that I've started, a couple other contracts. I've got a conversation later today with another organization that may want to put me on a contract. And I'm being very above board. Like the meeting that I just had with Ryan at Christ Journey. Hey, just so you know, here are the conversations that I'm still having. I am accepting this job. If I do sign a contract over here, then I'm going to invite some other people to be part of that contract. And by the way, if I do sign on with this company over here, here's how it's going to benefit Christ's journey. Like, I would challenge us, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have started. This is actually a really interesting thought right now. I've started more businesses than I've owned cars, but I've started more businesses than I've owned houses. Actually, I thought that was going to be close, but I've started a lot of businesses in my life. A lot have succeeded, a lot have failed, and I've learned so much along the process of both. But to desire to do ministry full time without recognizing that there's mortgages, that there's costs, that there's kids' college funds, there's savings, there's retirement, there's all this stuff that piles up. We've got to be able to create a method in our lives that allows us to do both, to be able to generate that revenue and do the ministry. Now, too often, and I've seen this within TCD, I really have. And this may come across harsh. I really don't mean it to. I just drove past the house I grew up in. I don't mean this to come across harsh. I'm sorry if it does. But too often, I've seen where we are hesitant to do the hard work of ministry because it's not able to generate the funds. In my life, I have seen where God has called for obedience and humility before he has provided solutions. In my life, I have seen where God has provided obedience and humility before he provides solutions. Let's look at it this way. Um, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. I talk about this all the time. It is literally the contract between man and God. If man does this, God will do this. God says to man, hey, this is what I need you to do. I need you to trust me with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge God. That's the three things man does: trust, even when it doesn't make sense, and praise God while you're doing it. And what's he going to do as a result? He will direct your path. He will make your path straight. He will make he will solve it. Solve it maybe not the way that you want, but he's going to solve it. And so it's not God solves the problem before you do it. It's you've got to take the leap and trust, knowing that he's going to make the path straight. In my own life, it was funny. I was telling Ryan the story today. It's so funny. I'm randomly driving at this point. 2 blocks this way. It was is a Christian bookstore. Well, it used to be a Christian bookstore. Used to be my Christian bookstore. 2003, I was just coming off this really weird experience where I lost my first .com, my first business, ebeliever.com, has a server crash. The company that I had paid tens of thousands of dollars to keep the server healthy and to back it up had told me, oh, after 3 years of business, no, we never did any backups, and I lost 4 years worth of web dev work. I lost 69 church websites. I literally had pastors has lost all their websites. All email addresses were tied to the store Gmail or any of that. Like it was a big freaking deal. And this back in like '03. And as a result of that, I crushed. I lost everything. And I felt like I was searching for what God was going to have me do next. And God told me literally, I can equivocally say this. There's maybe half a dozen times in my life where I can tell you that the voice of God told me to do something and say, I mean, this is not like an idea. This is like literally, I'm hearing audibly, God saying this is true. And God told me to buy a Christian bookstore. There was a Christian bookstore that was not too far away from where I am now. It's called the Word Christian Bookstore. Is owned by a former pastor, a family friend, knew the guy for a long time. I used to buy books in there all the time. I am a techie. I'm an innovator. I'm a very aggressive type of person. You know me. And in this at this point, I call this the Luddite years. My friends that know me call this the dark ages. I was so adverse to technology because of the way I lost my first .com, my first business. That I was like, I never want to. Literally, I was like, I never want to touch a computer again. And so, and God was like, buy this bookstore. And so I went up to the. I knew the owner. He was moving. He was retiring, and it's this is a small closet, really small, startup kind of not startup. It had been around a decade, but he just didn't have a lot of capital to build it out. It was kind of a side project for him. He really wasn't doing anything, but he just had no desire to build it. And there were a couple other closets around. There wasn't a strong demand. But I had a passion for scripture. I had a passion for the Bible. I had a passion for books and music at the time. I was maybe 23. And I told the guy, I was like, "Hey, I want to buy your bookstore." And he's like, "Well, good. I want to sell you my bookstore." And I had this piece, late 23, that God was going to work this thing out. And something changed along the way. And right around November 23, I get this call. November of 2003, I get this call, and it's Paul, the owner, and he says, "Hey, just so you know, I'm not going to sell the bookstore to you. Instead, I'm going to sell to this other guy." I mean, that crushed me. I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, first off, you're really young, and I don't think you can really do the business aspects of this." And I was like, "Well, I've run this other business. I've got 3 years experience. My background with family. I was like, I've got opportunities here, Paul." And he's like, "Well, yeah, but this other guy has more capital. He's got a team of people that are going to co-run it with him. And so, just so you know, like, it's no disrespect, Jeff. I like you, but I'm going to sell this business to the other guy." This is like early November, 2003, and I'm like, "God, what are you doing to me? You told me I was going to buy this bookstore, and yet you tell me like it's now going to this guy. Why?" It was not the answer that I wanted to hear. Now, fast forward a little bit, December, call it 26th, after Christmas, 2004, 2003, same year, a month later. The guy that bought the bookstore, by the way, all that capital, all that partners that he had, dude went crazy upgrading the bookstore. $300,000 of new inventory, $100,000 of new fixtures. He took the bookstore from a 1,500 square foot to a 5,000 square foot. Built out a back office. Built out a cab, like a work facility in the back, a storage facility. Like, this was 5,000 square feet of retail gloriousness. I'm not kidding. It went, I said 1,500 square feet. It may have been 1,000 square feet to now like almost 5,000. Oh, so 5,200 square feet. It was this huge, huge undertaking. He opened it Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving. He ran it Black Friday to the day after Christmas. And the day after, Christmas Eve, he shut it down for a week, to kind of rest afterwards. And he calls me the day after Christmas. Says, "Jeff, I just invested $500,000 into this business, and I realize I can't do this. I Jeff, honestly, this is honest to God true story." He says, "Jeff, I've come to realize that I don't like people. that much. I'm really a private guy, and having all these conversations with people, being all this relational, physically dealing with people as customers, like I don't know what I was thinking, but that's just not me. And so he says, Jeff, why don't you buy the bookstore from me for what you were going to pay the previous owner? And so I owned the Living Word Christian bookstore for about 4 years. We had to shut it down eventually because of the recession in 08, 09. But the ministry implication that I want to share, by the way, I mean, I profited $500,000 worth of revenue, worth of inventory, and you know, uh, fixtures. He invested 500K into that store and didn't make hardly anything off it. Meanwhile, I went from a store in a closet that was maybe making $100,000 a year, and because of that footprint of a store he literally gave me. I'm not pennies on the dollar, quarter on the dollar, so to speak. Like we launched that store into $1 million business in the middle of early recession time periods. Eventually, we lost it in '09 when a lot of businesses shut down. Um, my point is I think we have to risk and trust in it. I think too often people are hesitant to let go of what they have, not realizing that what God has for you is so much better. I think it's very easy for us to a bird in one hand is better than two in the bush. In bivocational ministry, it's very easy to look and to say, but Jeff, I want to do great things, but I can't get paid for it, and so I need to shut it down. I can't do this. I give up. I have had conversations, unfortunately, with so many people that have incredible visions of digital ministry, but they can't get past not being able to monetize it and do a full-time salary. And so many of these callings are lost out of fear of not being able to pay the paycheck. Now, look, you can interpret what I'm doing with the church digital, going back and now taking this full-time job. I'm working full-time. Well, I'm working close to full-time for the church or for Christ Journey. You can look at that and say, hey, you know what? Jeff's giving up. Jeff's chickening out. Jeff himself doesn't have faith to hold on to um, what God can do through the church digital monetarily. And so Jeff's cowarding, taking the coward way, but getting a secondary job. And maybe that's right. I don't know. One day I'll stand before God and ask him that question. The way I would look at it is that we are aggressively diversifying and decentralizing the church digital away from me. I went in and I've said this 100 times. 2018, I'm sitting at downtown Disneyland in in California at a PushPay conference, and I'm sitting at this conference. 2,000 people are in the room listening to a keynote talk, and I'm literally writing out names, domain names for what we wanted. Actually, I have these sketches that I did them on an iPad, so they're digitized. But I'm literally writing out domain name ideas for what the church digital would become. And I have jeffreed.com, and then I have others names that were listed, the church digital among others. And I wrote next to jeffreed.com, this has to be bigger than me. And what our intentionality has been, and my leadership team the board, the volunteers with TCD, they've heard this so much. When things get too heavy, the answer is not slowed down. The answer, honestly, is rarely more money. The answer is involve more people into the conversation. And that's where, for this to operate bigger than me, we need to decentralize this away from me. We need to get people like Jason Morris, like Andy Mage, like Barbara Carnero, like Stacy, like the others in leadership. We need to get them more authority to lead out as the experts that they are. We need to empower you as outpost leaders, as digital missionaries. How can you contribute and bring into this? To be honest, I'm looking at guys like Steve Reed. I'm looking at months and literally are telling me that's pretty cool. How do I get more involved? The beauty of the church digital at this point is that we're very close to successfully creating a framework and establishing that framework, which means y'all can do whatever you want with it. Like, it is my gift to you. You make it happen. But in keeping it running, keeping it operating, we never would have gotten here if it was free.com. It took a lot of risk to not do jeffreed.com. I mean, let's just put numbers on this. And I'm gonna have to go at some point soon, a couple minutes. Um, I started the church digital in 2018. 20 yeah, 2018. 9 iterations of the church digital. The church digital has been 9 different focuses since 2018. We have been learning, we have been experimenting, we've been trying, we've been failing since 2018. Finally now, 2025, 6, 7 years later, we got it right. There's some risk. Financially, there's a lot of loss. But God moves. And while the answer we hear may not today, may not be the answer we need to hear, it's what we need to know. God will get us to where He wants us to be if we're willing to trust Him, even when it doesn't make sense, and acknowledge Him while we're doing it. I already had a donor reach out and be like, "Hey, I heard you're taking a job. Um, like, is this the end of the church digital? Are you guys going to be wise stewards of the money that's coming in?" Dude, nothing's changing. If anything, we're ramping up to be more effective. We're in the process. I posted. We're in the process of bringing on a project manager or two, and excited about um, decentralizing more responsibility out and empowering others to use their strengths for the kingdom through the church digital. If anything, it's going to create a stronger TCD because it's not centric on me and my strengths and weaknesses. A decentralized model with a centralized core and framework is going to be the effective way that TCD grows and multiplies globally. And me, as I drive AI, me being hands off and um, letting God use others and their strengths and abilities, that's going to be so important for the future of the organization. And it's going to be beneficial for all of us in the very near future. And so don't don't stress about the future. What I would say is that organizationally, I mean, listen, we've already got AI is not being my friend right now. Stop it. There, freaking car. I got my levers confused while talking. Um, we've already booking conference 24 2025, the four conferences coming up here in the fall. Already planning out 26. Literally already got scheduled, not scheduled, but rough written out what's happening for the spring concert conference in 26. There's some other things at play, some equipping courses Jason's working on, multiple languages already adapting. We're rolling out EDM and French right around the corner. Like it's at less than 7,000, at about $7,000 a month. What we're doing is incredible. I'm kind of working on the language in this. I'll say it in here. Like my desire is to see the church digital. Like I want to double next year, go from 75 to 150. But I really believe this because of the scalability of digital and online and the decentralized framework that we're kind of bringing out. I believe a 2x increase in income would generate a 10x return in ministry. I think we're very close to seeing this stuff go viral, and to adjust. To be honest, if we went viral right now, it wouldn't be good because we don't have the framework to to manage that level of growth quickly. And so I'm kind of glad God is holding back the giant explosion that I believe is going to happen when the Holy Spirit infuses into this. Um, we're almost there, but I believe that God's going to use the work that He's doing through us, and to be honest, me releasing is going to allow a lot more people to be able to come in and own their piece of this, and allow the ministry to be oh so much stronger. So be praying for us. Know that I'm praying for y'all. It's it is not lost on me that so many digital missionaries and digital planters are struggling financially. To be honest, I still carry that as a badge, almost that's like I need to come up with a solution to solve that problem to allow for more to come in. I did. I used to have meetings with my team and talk about how can we generate revenue? What do we need to do? We need to be the problem solver to allow this thing to explode. And maybe God can do work through us in some way, in some capacity. But what I think is more effective is just this simple. Okay, I'm going to trust in God even when it doesn't make sense, and I'm going to acknowledge Him when I do it. And as a result, He's going to make the path straight. And so the question I want to ask all of you today is what is a small, simple step you can do that doesn't make sense? Maybe it's financial, maybe it's operational, maybe it's tech stack, maybe it's volunteer, maybe it's releasing and allowing others to come in and own. I don't know. That's integrity, right? You have the conversation with God, pray through that. And then with integrity, take that step. If it's financial, let it go and watch what God does. Traditionally, I have had to let things go and watch what God does. Until I let things go, God doesn't move. But I have to let it go. Those of you at home singing "Let It Go, Let It Go, Let It Go," thank you. If I was in my office, I would play the soundtrack, but I'm in my car driving, so I can't. But anyway, hey, this has been a great conversation, a great stream. I literally just pulled up into my house, and I got a jet because I've got a meeting coming up in an hour. Hey, listen up, everybody! I'm doing another stream tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, hanging out with our friends. Yeah, I caught you singing. That's awesome. Send me a YouTube video of that. We're streaming with Dark Void and some of our Blue Angel VR friends about what their ministry and their story looks like in VR chat, virtual reality. I love these kids. I love what they're doing. It's incredible to me. It's a 15-year-old kid, maybe he's 16. But he's got like adults that are doing ministry with him. He's got like college kids with like from impressive schools. Like um, just the vision of this kid to do something different, to reach someone different, and create this ministry in virtual reality. It's a fascinating story that I really want you to hear. And so we're doing it late, 9 o'clock tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. I will put the link in fam everywhere. So look for it there. But love you. Thanks for hanging out with me today as I drove around Miami. Talk to y'all later. Thanks, everybody.